Hello everyone, this is Jeff Murrin. Welcome back. We're going to continue our discussion of the Iliad by Homer, specifically the Robert Fagel's translation, and in this particular video we are going to be focusing on Book 20. And the title of Book 20 is Olympian Gods in Arms. Alright, and I think it's some things that we want to focus on or consider while looking at this particular book is the fact that up until now, we know that Zeus has said things like, I don't want any of the gods to be playing any role when it comes to favoring one side or the other. And of course, some people have crossed the lines and they've done it anyway. Poseidon has done it. We know that Hera and Athena have always been working in favor of the Greeks, but we also know that those people have been called down. They've been chastised by Zeus or told to take a hike or whatever the case may be. We also know that Zeus, though, has done what he's wanted to favor the Trojans. We also know that Apollo, too, has done things to favor the Trojans without the same reprimand that the other ones received from Zeus. But now we will see that Zeus just says, hey, guys, choose your sides and help out who you're going to help out. And it's interesting when they do this because we start to consider or wonder, or however you want to state it, is the battle that's going on, is it man versus man, or is it God versus God using the men as pawns? Okay? Is it a little bit of both? Is there a hybrid situation here? And so what we will see is how the gods really, truly intertwine themselves in this battle in Book 20. The other thing that is really a major focus here is, of course, Achilles, because now he's on the scene 100%, held off in battle because of the beef he had with Agamemnon for so long over the slight that he received from Agamemnon about Briseis. And we know that Achilles was mentioned in the very first lines of Book 1. And the first word of this entire book is rage. Okay, so what we will see is we will see the rage within Achilles and how it reaches such extraordinary heights. In this particular book, he will go on a rampage, killing what add up to about 13 Trojan warriors. I'm not going to list them all. I'm not going to get into all that. Of course, if you're a student of mine, you will probably be working in that regard on your own, but I'll leave it to those of you who are reading this to look at and list all of the kills that Achilles has in this, all right? But what I'm more concerned with is not necessarily the kills, but the gods intervening here and Achilles' rage, and as Achilles taunts Aeneas specifically, and as he taunts Hector, and how all those two things play out, his killing of Polydorus and his killing of Tros, and a lot of the descriptions, the epic similes that we have around Achilles in this particular book. All right, so let's go ahead, let's jump right in, let's read some things, and let's talk about what we read. All right, so we're going to begin not at the very first lines, but on page 504, at the very top of page 504. All right, it says, and so the powers assembled deep in Zeus's halls. Nor did the god of earthquakes fail to hear the goddess. Surging up from the sea, he came to join their ranks. So Zeus has summoned everybody here. And took a seat in their midst and probed Zeus's plans. Why now, great king of the lightning, why summon the gods to council once again? Right? The idea that this happens all the time. They get summoned all the time. It's like now that we've got this coronavirus pandemic going on. That's why, you know, the lectures are going on here in my backyard. Just another Zoom meeting, another call to this, another call, and this is just one of those things that, all right, what is it now? Okay. It says, why now, great king of the lightning? Why summon the gods to council once again? Still some concerns for Troy and Achaea's armies, now that the battle is set to burst in flames between them. Okay. But Zeus, who marshals the thunderheads, replied, God of the earthquake, that's Poseidon, well, you know my plans, the strategy in my mind, and why I call you here. These mortals do concern me, dying as they are. Well, if they concern you, you're Zeus, you could do something about it, right? How concerned are you, my friend? All right. Still, I say, I stay here on Olympus, throned aloft, here in my steep mountain cleft, to feast my eyes and delight my heart. He's both concerned and delighted. Go figure that one. All right. Anyway, the rest of you, down you go, he says. Go to Trojans, go to Achaeans. Help either side, as the fixed desire deserves each god to act. If Achilles fights the Trojans, unstopped by us, not for a moment will they hold his breakneck force. They can't hold him back. All right. Even before now, they'd shake to see him coming. Now, with his rage inflamed for his friend's death, I fear he'll raise the walls against the will of fate. And with that command, Zeus roused incessant battle. Down the immortals launched into the field of action. Their warring spirits split the gods two ways. All right. Now, we saw, flames there on line 22. His rage was inflamed. All right. You remember he had flames shooting out of the top of his head before, whenever he stood on the ramparts to taunt the Trojans. So, that is definitely something for us to pay attention to. It split the gods two ways. We know who's who. We know that Hera, we know Athena, we know Poseidon, we know Hephaestus. All of those are Greek, gods that favor the Greeks. We know over here we've got Apollo, Aphrodite, and that crew over there with the Trojans. Zeus, we've seen him sort of play a little bit of both sides. He's listened to Achilles' prayers, granted some things, not granted other things. He's helped. Apollo too. That's another big one I forgot to mention on the Trojan side. All right, and you can think about how this all began with the golden apple of discord, because you've got Hera and Athena with the Greeks. You've got Aphrodite with the Trojans. Aphrodite, she was chosen by the Trojan Paris. So of course she's going to back the Trojans. The other two weren't chosen by Paris, and so they are the ones who are backing the Greeks. It just all goes back to that first story of the Golden Apple of Discord. Line 80 on page 505. So immense the clash as war of the gods erupted. There, look, rearing against Lord Poseidon, Phobos Apollo loomed, bristling winged arrows, rearing against Ares, blazed eye Athena, rearing against Hera, Artemis with an arrow of gold, and cry that howls the hunt, the goddess raining shafts, huntress, sister of Phobos, the distant deadly archer, rearing against Leto, Hermes, the running god of luck, and against the fire god rose a deep swirling river, immortals call the Xanthus, mankind calls Scamander. So God went up against God. Just so much happening and so much clashing. The gods clashing from above, and they're going to bring that clash down to humanity, and those humans then are going to clash amongst themselves. Also, on page 108, a little bit there about line 181, it says, so either side of the lines they took positions, weighing tactics, each Olympian force reluctant now to launch out the first wrenching horrors of war, while Zeus on the heights sat poised to thunder orders. All right, so all of this is going on in the spirit world. All right, but we're going to see how that actually plays out in the physical world with the warriors themselves. All right, 507, going back there, we'll see. Let's say about line 137. Hera is speaking. Says, bend to the work, you two, Poseidon, Athena, decide in your hearts how this assault will go. Here comes Aeneas. Aeneas, very important. I've brought him up several times. Look, helmed in flashing brawn to oppose Achilles now, and Phobos speeds him on. Come, spin him around in his tracks and drive him back. So we can see they have just so much of their own, like, here, do this, spin him around. But he's got that god talking to him. They're all sort of pawns in this game. All right. Going down to about 146, it says, we swept down from Olympus all to join this fight, so Achilles might not fall at Trojan hands today. Afterward, he must suffer what the fates spun out on the doom fighter's lifeline drawn that day his mother gave him birth. So what they mentioned there is the fact that, while Aeneas, we need to maybe spin him around and move him away. We talk about Achilles here in that last little bit, about how he's been doomed since death. And we know that from the very beginning of the book as well. So, there are fates here, there are gods at play, there is all sorts of things going on that may be pushing the humans in a certain way, or is it that everything is just already orchestrated and put together there for the humans, and it's just their place to walk it out. In Achilles' case, walk out the life and die early as he was fated to do all along. All right. Let's go ahead and move on over to 509, page 509. There, about beginning of the fourth line down, we see this epic simile for Achilles as a lion. Now, I've mentioned so many times the motif of lion. Lions are brought up so often here, and now we can kind of see where they all come together, because listen to this epic simile discussing Achilles as a lion. It says, but over against him came Achilles, rearing like some lion out on a rampage. A whole town of men has geared for the hunt to cut him down, but at first he lopes along, all contempt, till one of the fast young hunters spears him then. Crouched for attack, his jaws gaping over his teeth, the foam breaks out deep in his chest, the brave heart groans. He lashes his ribs, his flanks and hips with his tail. He whips himself into a fighting fury, eyes glaring, hurls himself head on. Kill one of the men or die. Go down himself at the first lethal charge. So now magnificent pride and fury lashed Achilles to go against Aeneas, the great-hearted fighter. All right, so we're going to see this standoff between Achilles and Aeneas. All right, now Aeneas is special. He's going to live it out because he's got to have his own book written about him later on by Virgil about the founding of Rome. So we kind of know that there's not a whole lot of bad stuff that's going to happen to him right here, right now, but they are going to taunt one another, okay? And we also see that rage, that anger with Achilles in that epic simile of the lion there, all right? So the taunting begins just a couple lines after that. All right, where he says, Aeneas, why so far from your own ranks, standing all exposed? Does your courage really drive you to challenge me? In hopes of ruling your stallion, breaking friends, and filling Priam's throne? Even if you killed me, would Priam drop his crown in your hands for that? The king has sons, he's sound of limb, no half-wit either, or have the Trojans sworn to carve you a fine estate, all right? So what are you thinking over there standing up to me? Even if you were successful, which you will not be because I'm freaking Achilles, all right? What's in it for you? Why are you even doing this? This is just foolhardy on your part. All right, we see on the next page, though, that after that first break on page 510, it says, but Aeneas, taking a long, deep breath, replied, don't think for a moment, Achilles, son of Peleus, you can frighten me with words like a child, a fool. I'm an old hand myself at trading taunts and insults. We both know each other's birth, each other's parents. We've heard the far-flung fame on the lips of mortal men, though you have never set eyes on mine or I on yours. And there is this discussion in this particular book. When they're trying to build, Apollo is building Aeneas up, the idea is this, like, Aeneas, look, your mom is Aphrodite, all right? Achilles, his mom is Thetis, right? She's like a sea god. Your mom is Aphrodite, one of those, all right? His parent, he has a lesser upbringing, right? A more common beginning than you and yours, even though, yes, having a sea goddess as a mom is not necessarily a common way, but in light of having Aphrodite as your mom, yeah, all right. It goes on, let's see, about line 283, let's say, on page 511. Come, Achilles, no more bragging on this way like boys, standing here in the thick of pitched battle. Plenty of insults we could fling against each other, enough to sink a ship with 100 benches. A man's tongue is a glib and twisty thing. Plenty of words there are, all kinds at its command, with all room in the world to talk for range and stray. And we're reminded, of course, of that idea of, you know, I don't like a man who says one thing and does another, okay? We've got words and we're going to use all these words, but actions are always actions always speak louder than words. All right? So, we can do this all day, but, you know, are you going to bark all day, little doggy, or are you going to bite? That kind of thing there, all right? Page 512, you know, well, I mean, before we get to page 512, they will battle one another, all right? And we will see the gods intervene so that one does not harm the other, all right? Look at page 512, the last two lines. I'm going to begin there. This is Poseidon speaking of Aeneas. He says, now I tell you, my heart aches for great Aeneas. Now, Poseidon, you know, he's on the Greek side, all right? Now I tell you, my heart aches for great Aeneas. He'll go down to the house of death this instant, overwhelmed by Achilles, all because he trusted the distant deadly archer's urgings, okay? Poor fool, as if Apollo would lift a hand to save him now from death, grim death, Aeneas the innocent, okay? So Poseidon, siding with the Greeks, sees Aeneas as special, as innocent, as something other than. Why should Aeneas suffer here? For no good reason. Embroiled in the quarrels of others, not his own. He always gave us gifts to warm our hearts, gifts for the gods who rule the vaulting skies, right? He's always been good to us. So if he's been good to us, we got to take some pity on him, all right? So come, let us rescue him from death ourselves, for fear the son of Cronus might just tower in rage if Achilles kills this man. Also, that may upset Zeus against us if Achilles kills Aeneas, all right? He is destined to survive, it says. Yes, so the generation of Dardanus will not perish, obliterate without an heir, without a trace. Dardanus, dearest to Zeus of all the sons that mortal women brought to birth for father. Now he has come to hate the generation of Priam, and now Aeneas will rule the men of Troy in power. His sons' sons, and the sons born in future years. Okay, so you see how Aeneas is set apart here as something special. He will be looked after. He is destined to survive, and his generation will not perish without an heir, without a trace. This right here is where Virgil finds, aha, this right here is the key to my developing the character of Aeneas and bringing Aeneas surviving Troy, going on his own circuitous journey the same way that Odysseus does. Odysseus is just going back home, but of course Aeneas' home is destroyed here when the Greeks sack the city of Troy. And he goes to establish his own home, Aeneas does. And what he establishes is Rome, to become the greatest of societies, empires, if you will, or whatever, okay? And it is this moment right here where Virgil says, aha, I got it, all right? So, what we will see on page 514, now let's go ahead and move it. Poseidon will talk directly to Aeneas here. He says on line 378 right there at the end, it says, Aeneas, what god on high commands you to play the madman, fighting against Achilles' overwhelming fury? Both a better soldier and more loved by the gods. Like, dude, he's better than you just in physical capabilities, and he's also better than you because he is more favored than you by the gods, which is interesting because Aeneas doesn't necessarily think that himself, and that's not what Apollo was telling him earlier. Aphrodite is your mom, Thetis is his mom, okay, but now it says that Achilles is more loved by the gods. So, you know, it must be hard to live in this time getting so many mixed messages. It's hard enough now with the coronavirus getting mixed messages from you know, all sides, but oh my gosh, you know, it just seems constant here in their world. Okay, it says, pull back at once whenever you're thrown against him, or go down to the house of death against the will of fate. But once Achilles has met his death, his certain doom, take courage then. Go fight on the front lines then. No other king can bring you down in war. All right. However, there stands Achilles, and you don't stand a chance if there stands Achilles. All right. So now what we see on page 515, Hector and Achilles are going to go after it. All right. So Hector speaks. That first break on page 515, it says, spurring his men while Hector, a flash in armor, urged his Trojans, thinking he'd even go up against Achilles. No fear of Pylades now, my gallant Trojans. I, too, could battle the deathless gods with words. It's hard with a spear. The gods are so much stronger. Not even Achilles can bring off all his boasts. Some he'll accomplish, some cut short, half done. I'm off to engage the man, though his fists are fire. Though his fists are fire, and his fury burnished iron. Fire, fire, fist of fire, burnished iron. All this fire imagery going on in the rage of Achilles. Continuing on, spurring them on to raise their spears for full assault, and the Trojans' fury massed and mounted. War cries broke, but Apollo suddenly stood by Hector, shouting, don't for a moment duel Achilles, Hector. Out in front of your ranks. Withdraw to your main lines and wait him there, out of the crash of battle. Else he'll spear you down or close for the kill and hack you with his sword. So Hector drew back to his thronging comrades, terrified to hear the voice of God. Not Achilles, okay? Achilles isn't scared of anything, all right? So now we get the idea that, you know, the gods are intervening so much. They're spurring on certain ones, they're holding back other ones, and the people are either hearing that or they're not hearing it. Or Achilles, in his case, he knows he's doomed, he's never going to make it home, is just going, you know, going for broke. All right. And Achilles kills Polydorus. All right. You can see that name on page 516, line 461, 2, 3, about 463, Polydorus. Okay. Polydorus is a son of Priam. In the same way that Paris is a son of Priam and Hector is a son of Priam, he's the youngest son of Priam. And and Achilles brings him down. It says, Polydorus, son of Priam, his father would not let him fight ever. He was the youngest born of all his sons. Priam loved him most, the fastest runner of all. But now the young fool, mad to display his speed, went dashing along the front to meet his death. Just as he shot past the matchless runner, Achilles speared him square in the back. That's a pretty crap move to take somebody down in the back, all right? Where his war belt clasped, golden buckles clinching both halves of his breastplate, straight on through went the point and out the navel, all the way from the back out to the front, his belly button. Down on his knees he dropped, screaming shrill as the world went black before him, clutched his bowels into his body, hunched and sank. So he's trying to put his own insides back in as he dies. Such a gruesome sight, okay? Continuing on, it says, but Hector, seeing his own brother Polydorus clutching his entrails, sinking limp to the ground, the mist came swirling down his eyes as well. He could bear no more, wheeling off at a distance, shaking his whetted spear, he charged Achilles now, okay? Coming fierce as fire, okay, he too is fire, but Achilles marked him quickly, and springing forth to take him triumph to himself. Here's the man who raked my heart the most. Here's the man who killed Patroclus, my buddy, all right? Who killed my cherished comrade. No more delay, dodging each other down the passageway of battle. Under his brows he glared at royal Hector, shouting, quick, charge me, the sooner to meet your death. But Hector, his helmet flashing, never flinched, all right? And where we heard this before, we heard this next line from Aeneas. Don't think for a moment, Achilles, son of Peleus, you can frighten me with words like a child, a fool. I'm an old hand myself at trading taunts and insults. Well, I know you are brave, etc. All right? So, what we have is Athena going into and working her magic in the battle as well. Okay, that next little break, it says, grim reminder, he brandished the shaft and hurled with all his might, but Athena blew it back from Achilles. So Athena, she likes the Greeks, stops the spear from actually hitting Achilles. Achilles owes his life this long, in this moment at least, to Athena. A quick light breath and the shaft flew back again to tall Prince Hector and fell before his feet. Achilles blazed, there's that fire again, charging, raging to cut him down, loosing savage cries, but Phobos whisked him away. Okay, so Phobos is Apollo there, whisks Hector away. Easy work for a god, and wrapped him round in mist. And here we have this construction again. 3 times the brilliant runner Achilles charged him, lunged with his bronze spear. 3 times he slashed a cloud. Then at Achilles' 4th assault, like something superhuman, his terrifying voice burst out in ringing words. Now again you've escaped your death, you dog. Calling him a dog, keep that in mind. But a good close brush with death it was, I'd say. Okay, now again your Apollo pulls you through, the one you pray to, waiting your storm of spears. We'll fight again. I'll finish you off next time if one of the gods will only urge me on as well. All right, so let's get to the last couple pages here. All right, page 518. We will see Achilles. His rage is so extreme here that he kills a man who is on his knees, grasping Achilles' knees, begging to save his life. All right, this is Thros is the character I'm talking about here, and this is about line 523. It says, then Tros, Alastor's son, crawled to Achilles' knees and clutched them, hoping he'd spare him. Let Tros off alive, no cutting him down in blood. He'd pity Tros, a man of his own age, the young fool. He had no idea, thinking Achilles could be swayed. He was a man not sweet at heart. Achilles, not sweet at heart. Not kind, no, he was raging, wild. As Tros grasped his knees, desperate, begging, Achilles slit open his liver. The liver spurted loose, gushing with dark blood, drenched his lap, and the night swirled around his eyes, and his life breath slipped away. Achilles is a killing machine. And this is one point I wanted to make earlier, and I totally forgot. When we had that long epic simile of Achilles as a lion, killing things, going on a rampage. Look, I don't talk much about my personal life here on these videos, but I own 5 cats. All right, don't ask me how I got that many cats, okay? Anyway. It's neither here nor there. But cats, even house cats, they're killing machines, all right? They kill moles, they kill shrews, they kill birds, they kill dragonflies, they kill just about anything they can get their hands on, all right? And so a lot of times I think, oh, it's a cute little kitten. That cute little kitten grows up to be a killing machine. And much more so that if it's a lion with the full power available to a cat. All right, just wanted to put that out there, okay? Now, looking at page 519, we see the end here of this super long, really intense epic simile. And we're going to see 3 comparisons. The epic simile is like or as this thing, so this goes. All right, that's the way the epic simile structure is here in these Greek epics. This one is going to be like this, like this, like this, so this. Okay, so this one has got a lot going on. It says, Achilles now, like inhuman fire, raging on through the mountain gorges, splintered dry, setting ablaze big stands of timber, the wind swirling the huge fireball left and right, chaos of fire, Achilles storming on with brandished spear. Like a frenzied god of battle, trampling all he killed, and the earth ran black with blood, thundering on like oxen. Broad in the brow, some field hand yokes to crush white barley, heaped in a well-laid threshing floor, and the grain is husked out by the bellowing oxen hooves. So, as great Achilles rampaged on, his sharp-hoofed stallions trampled shields and corpses, axe under his chariot splashed with blood, blood on the handrails, sweeping out of the car, sprays of blood shooting up from the stallion's hooves, and churning, whirling rims. And the son of Peleus, charioting on to seize his glory, bloody filth, splattering both arms, Achilles' invincible arms. Whew, okay. So you get the visual there that, man, he is the killing machine, just like the lion that I described to you just before I read that, okay? So he's rampaging on, all aflame, just burning with rage, all right? And I'm gonna leave book 20 there. And as always, what I want you to do is I want you to read book 21. I want you to annotate book 21. I want you to have your own thoughts on book 21, and then meet me back here and I will give you some of my thoughts on book 21. So until then, and as always, happy reading.